Anyway, we're here in the new year. I have a project that I want to do that is gonna like symbolize or emulate. Let's go with symbolize. Symbolize is a good word. Symbolize how I want to conquer this new year. How without fear and very experimentational. Please do not mind my nails. I made curry the other day and I had to pop them off because my nails yellowed. And I only have this one here. So when I point in, just know I'm serious because this is the only finger that has the nail. So just know, I watched Ghost Rider the other day and he's just been, every time he points, it's something serious. So we're gonna get into it. I made my pattern already. One of these days, I'm going to show y'all what I'll be doing to make these patterns for these corset thingies, and I'm gonna cut out my fabric and you'll see the vibe, sort of, hopefully. Yeah, let's go. I actually need to find my lining, so I'm gonna cut my lining out first and then sew it together and see how that fits. Because I was gonna use this denim and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be way too hard, so we're gonna try and find a lining that is less stiff. Because the fabric that I'm using, I may or may not be using fusible on the outside fashion fabric to make it a little stiffer. So I think that having a softer, more thin lining would do the trick. And it's like an armored corset. I don't need it to really suck me in because it's not really meant for that. So I'm not going to really like focus on it being that. I just kind of need it to just look like armor and give off that vibe. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. When I have fabric that I bought a while back ago and I use it for a project, I just feel like it's free. Like, that's just girl math. Like, that's just, you know what I'm saying? That's just like top tier girl math right there. I have a new pair of scissors because my scissors is like some Swiss Army knife, okay? When time I get to cutting, do you see how like loose she is? Yeah, she been around the way. I got some new ones from Fabric Wholesale from an order I placed. Look how beautiful this is. Just like, come on, friend, that is so freaking fire. So after I was done admiring my sewing blades, I went ahead and laid my pattern down on my lining and cut everything out. I cut out my bodice pieces along the up and down grain line, but I did cut out the bust pieces on bias so that it could stretch over the vinyl that I'm using for self fabric. I will be sewing my lining together to make sure the fit is right, make any changes if need be. Popcorn bucket has turned into storage unit for all of my thread. So let's get to sewing. Everything's gonna be sewn at 1/2 inch. You're here to just watch me struggle anyway, so let's go. After sewing together the bodice of my lining, I went ahead and tried it. I was quite satisfied with the fit of everything, but later on you're going to see that I probably should have went ahead and fixed up some stuff. And like I said in my last video, I do have scoliosis, so when I'm doing the duct tape mock-ups, I'm usually using my quote-unquote better side, and it's not really helpful for me to do that because obviously both sides of my body are not like equal to each other. One side is bent more than the other, so that's just something that I'm going to have to work on, actually customizing my patterns for my body. But anyway, here I'm just showing you how the fabric looks, how liquidy and buttery and kind of like flaily it is. So I wanted to add some fusible to kind of stiffen it up more because there's a little stretch to it as well. And even though I did not catch cutting out the fusible on camera, I did do that after cutting out all of my pieces on this vinyl material, and obviously I ended on. And I sewed all of the panels at 1/2 inch. And if you're not new to sewing, you know why I'm using clips instead of pins. And if you are new to sewing, I'm using clips because pins will leave holes and it will not heal like how regular fabric heals. Regular fabric, you can stick a pin through it and it'll just move the threads out the way, but this vinyl does not have threads, so it will leave a hole. I took away 2 inches from the center back because this was my exact body circumference, and that would have been great if I was adding a zipper, but I am adding the dreaded eyelets. So if you're doing eyelets that have a lace-up back, you would want up to 4 inches gone. At this point, I realized that the seam allowance was getting way too stiff with the fusible on there, so I went ahead and trimmed off all the seam allowance of the entire perimeter, plus the seam allowance I already sewed from the bodice. And after that, I was like, oh, she is a lot better. I like this. I like this a lot. This what I want. These are the encased bonings that I measured against each panel and cut out. I wrote M for the center front, aka the middle, and then the boning next to it had 1 mark to show it was right next to the center front boning, and then the following had 2 marks to symbolize it was 2 channels over it, and so on and so forth. This is the lining and the self fabric clipped together, and I'm gonna sew carefully along the clipped areas at 1/2 inch. Now you really want to be careful sewing at that little tippy top piece right there at the top. Just take your time. No need to rush. And if you're wondering why Lil Bow Wow is working like he had a sweatshop, mind your business. You're looking too hard. You're looking too hard. To take away excess bulkiness, I went ahead and clipped along the top and the bottom of the corset. Now, y'all, turning this inside out was a struggle. I almost didn't think I was gonna make it, to be honest. I was gonna be like, oh, who finna do it but you? Because it wasn't finna be nobody else. So, I had to put on my big girl panties and just roughhouse that damn thing. Alright, so the corset is constructed, and I think this is so super dope. I was supposed to put boning on the ends, but I think I ran out of boning. And lo and behold, I have just enough for it to fit on the edges. So what I'm gonna do is just fold these in, stitch like half an inch, and then slide the boning in there without the casing, and then stitch on the edge, so it'll be on the inside of this. So I'm supposed to have cups with this, but it's so, I really like it without the cups, so I don't know if I want to put the cups, but I'm still gonna sew the cups together with the lining, so I already got them cut out. I don't want to waste it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm probably just gonna put them anyway. I might make them smaller because these are like so big. I don't know. We're gonna see. So I sewed the lining of the bust cups together to the self fabric, and I definitely ended up using them in the final product because I don't like to waste fabric. I did the same thing that I was doing with the bodice to take away that extra bulk. I went ahead and just clipped off some of the edges. This is so cute. Do I remember which way everything is really supposed to go? I'm assuming it's going like this. So yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna sew up until the first cup. I'm gonna see how it goes. I'm probably gonna just turn it back inside out and sew up into this first cup. And then whatever I said, we're just gonna disregard that because I didn't end up doing any of that. What I did end up doing is encasing the bottom of the cups in ribbon, which I think did look, it looked fine. You just have to go sew to make sure you're catching the top and the bottom at the same time to make this look perfect. I then took my seam ripper. You can even use an awl or a pin to just score the seam allowance at the bottom of your cups. I actually went 1/8 of an inch above that line when sewing so that the ribbon would not show over the bodice. Now, because the bodice is being laid on top of the cups, there's no way that you can clip or pin anything. What you could do is lay some masking tape so that doesn't move, and then after you sew, you can just rip the masking tape off. But I like to make life difficult for myself, apparently, so I just went ahead and winged it, and it turned out fine for the most part. I did line up my underbust with the edge of my presser foot to sew everything down. You also want to make sure you're sewing in the same direction with both cups. So if you start from the side and sew going towards the middle, for the right cup, you want to make sure you're doing that same thing with the left cup, going from the side all the way into the middle. I sewed the first cup in 2 sections, and if you do need to sew it in 2 sections, that's fine, but the second cup I was able to just make it one round. Alright guys, this is the corset. It looks so wrinkly, but it's straight. I'm gonna cover it up anyway. This is what it's given. This is so cute. I'll put the boning in the back, so I need to just put the garments in, and I am going to do some detail work. So let me show y'all what I got to do with detail work. These, so if I just show it this way. Okay, so I got these, and I got 2 of them. So I was just going to hot glue. I've seen things where like they put the hot glue in the silicone mold and then pop it out, and it basically is just like these. And I was going to do some like edges. So I did not end up giving my corset the edges of a pie crust. I could give you tetanus, but we good. Meanwhile, during this whole segment, I was trying to walk in heels. Mind you, I must have forgot that I am not Zendaya. Wrong black girl, because I was doing way too much. I don't even know how to walk in heels. I don't know why I was pushing it, but I quickly learned my lesson. But first, let me show you what I was trying to do. And this is what I gave y'all. Now, after busting my behind on this hardwood floor, it could be laminate, who knows. I went ahead and measured how long I needed the skirt of my dress to be, and then I went ahead and measured my hip width. I added 1.5 inches to my length measurement, then times my hip circumference by 1.5 and added 1 inch for seam allowance and used those measurements to cut out my skirt. Do you see that smaller rectangular piece that I'm tearing off? I just hemmed the perimeter of that, cut that in half, and used that for the two top flaps of the dress. You can sew the skirt side seams with a front seam, finish off the bottom hem with a rolled hem foot. I have the strip of fabric and I'm going to use that to make these little covers that go like this over the boob. And then I have this left over. And I'm going to hem all of these all the way around. I want this one to go like this at the back. I think it's gonna be so cute. So we're gonna do that. We're just gonna hem the entire circumference of, does that make sense? Perimeter. Circumference is for circles. We're going to hem the entire perimeter of these pieces. So let us go. If you hear any click clacking, trying to learn how to walk in heels because I did bust my behind yesterday and it did bruise. So I'm trying to be a big girl and gain a tolerance to wearing heels for a long period of time to learn how to walk in them because it's just be given. The heels be given. So let's go. Yeah, sweetie, the dress is so cute. 2T, body T, dress T, everything T. All right, you guys, the dress is done. It's literally just a rectangle that was like 1.5. The size is larger than my waist with an elastic band in it. And then I have these two long rectangles that I just measured out how they would fit. And then you can tie it in the back or you can sew it down. I think I'm just gonna tie it. I may or may not actually wear this dress out and about because it's actually really cute for like a beach cover up. It's so cute. Now for the dreaded eyelets. I absolutely loathe putting in eyelets. Like, you didn't even see because I didn't put it on camera because it was my first time using it, but I used a soldering iron and it wasn't cute at all. I burnt through this corset. The eyelets was still popping out. You know what? I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I need to figure out something. I need to get a little eyelid hole puncher thing because this is not working at all for me. But before I got the soldering iron, I was burning my all to try and burn holes in it, and it was giving meth head, and this is not Breaking Bad. So anyway, so I'm making this little arm jewelry thing, and I just am measuring out how I want it. The start of it, I wrapped it around and then just went ahead and twisted it around that first loop and then continued wrapping it around my arm. Yeah. If your arm is looking like Beef Wellington, you're on the right track. I don't want it to give pastrami, so I'm trying to do it quite light around my arms because my arms are a little fat. You know what I'm saying? I know how to cook. I'm gonna fry up a little. Let's not be stereotypical right now. All right, glasses that I don't care about because I got a new pair. And I'm gonna cut them. And I'm just going to take this and wrap the end around it. Yeah. Ooh, my nails. And then I'm just going to wrap it around that. That's what that looks like. This is also like, just go what feels good to you. Idea of 30 at the top, right in the middle, right? The bottom, middle. I went ahead and made a configuration of beads and jewels for the headpiece. I cut 3 wires 2 inches longer than my head circumference and twisted the 3 wires together until they got this like rope look, and then added beads on the sides, and when you continue to twist it, they hold the beads in place. Alright, bookies, you're in a different lighting because I feel like it would have been better here. The headband thing is been twisted. Where are my words at? Oh my gosh, where are words? It has been twisted. I'm just gonna fold it over just because, like, if I want to readjust it, I can. It's easier that way. So I'm gonna take a little chain right here that I made, and I'm just gonna hook this in the middle of this. I'm just going to wrap this around on this side, on the other side, then on this side again, then on the other side, then on this side. But you get the gist. We're wrapping, alternating sides and wrapping. And this is how it turned out. So the neck piece was basically one long wire that was bent 3 times. That's how I was able to get the loops on each side that the edges or the corners of the cape were fed through. I fed the beads through one wire and twisted all the wires together. Finally, I'm using the hot glue that was molded from the silicone mold that I said I was going to use earlier. I'm just showing you how I did it. Don't mind the discoloration. This hot glue gun was sitting for a little minute and I couldn't find the original one that I was using, so I had to just use this one. But you want to make sure you're quickly pumping hot glue into these molds. I even have to push the glue stick down for the hot glue to come out faster, because once this cools, it's not going to look right. If you just keep on adding stuff on top of it, it's not going to be even. You want it to be smooth. You can use a heat gun to get rid of the air bubbles. So I did have some air bubbles, but I didn't have my heat gun, so I had to just do what I had to do. And if you followed all the steps correctly and you use a hot glue gun that's been sitting for a while, you just made your very own mosquito trapped in amber from Jurassic Park. Finishing off the necklace piece, I pulled the corners of the cape through the loops and sewed them down. I then hot glued my little pendant that I made from the silicone mold, and that's it, we're done. And when you have done all of that and your necklace looks like this, it is time to view the finished product.